final destination of the 2022 Absa Cape Epic is Val de Vie, the Valley of Life. Nestled in the Berg River Valley, overlooked by the jagged peaks of the Drakensberg Mountains and blessed with fertile soils, the development is South Africa's premier lifestyle estate. Along with hosting the grand finale of the Untamed African Mountain Bike Race for the fourth time, Val de Vie also stages polo competitions. It is the lawns of the polo field which will serve as the final race village. In 2022, fans were welcomed back to the race and cheered on the 900 riders who'd written their names into the Book of Legend. The journey to etch their names into the Book of Legend began at Lawrenceford on Sunday the 20th of March. There, the BMC MTB racing team of Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot charged to a somewhat unexpected stage win. The French-South African team won the 24-kilometre long stage in a time of 1 hour and 9 minutes and 5 seconds. Faces rollers Mariska Strauss and Candice Lille were second, 42 seconds down, with Simtek ZA third and 91 Songo Specialized in fourth. If the prologue was an appetizer, stage 1 was the main course, too early in the 8-course meal. While BMC MTB Racing and Faces Roller had challenging days, the Simtek ZA and 91 Songo Specialized teams surged into contention for the CM.com orange jerseys. Ariane Luthi and Amy Wakefield timed their charge through the second half of the 92-kilometre stage to perfection. They seized the lead on the saddle climb and were on course for victory until a puncture scuppered their chances. Sophia Gomez-Villafañe and Hayley Batten were there to pick up the pieces, winning the stage and claiming orange. On stage 2, 123 kilometres were on the cards. After their struggles on stage 1, their rivals had not expected Ferrand-Prévot and de Groot to bounce back so well. The BMC MTB racing team exploited a mechanical suffered by 91 Songo Specialized to race to their second stage victory of the race. Gomez-Villafañe and Batten recovered to finish second and keep their leaders' jerseys. Luthi and Wakefield were third on the day. The first stage in Greyton saw Faces Roller ride their way into contention for the CM.com women's category. The South Africans had held the Absa African jerseys from after the prologue, but had struggled to make their mark at the sharp end of the race since that time trial. On stage 3, they went head-to-head with 91 Songo Specialized after Private Client Holdings' Marie Rabi and Hayley Preen had been on a 70-kilometre break for stage honours. Lille and Strauss outfoxed Gomez-Villafañe and Batten, ruffling the overall race leaders' feathers in the process. For the second day in Greyton, the route took in some of the region's best single tracks in a compact but challenging 82-kilometre course. Having finished fourth the day before, Ferrand-Prévot and de Groot were on the charge again on stage 4. The BMC MTB racing team slipped away from a group which also contained 91 Songo Specialized, Private Client Holdings and Faces Roller. When Lille punctured, she and Strauss were left unable to contest the finale. Only Gomez-Villafañe and Batten could mount a significant chase, but even they could not reel Ferrand-Prévot and de Groot in, as BMC MTB won their third Absa Cape Epic stage. The 115-kilometre stage did not, on paper, appear suited to the cross-country specialists. Yet it was the World Cup campaigners Gomez-Villafañe, Batten, Lille and Strauss who coped best with the marathon distance. Try as they might, neither side could shake the other until the final kicker up Heartbreak Hill onto Kutzenberg Sports Fields. 91 Songo Specialized victory was only their second of the race, but it further cemented their grip on the CM.com leaders' jerseys. Single tracks filled the penultimate day of the 2022 Absa Cape Epic as the route explored the Banhoek and Jonkershoek trails. Lille and Strauss's home ground advantage was somewhat nullified by the 91 Songo Specialized team using the region as a frequent training camp. As such, Gomez-Villafañe and Batten were as familiar with the trails as the locals. Again, neither of the top two women's teams could distance the other significantly, and the overall leaders' mini break in the closing kilometres was enough to allow them to race to their third stage win of the event. Faces Roller had to be content with second, BMC MTB Racing with third.
This is our third win of the Epic so far, which feels really good. I think we're coming on strong towards the end of the week, which is a really good feeling. And every stage that we can win, we're giving more prize money to the Songo Foundation, so that feels really good as well. And more than anything, I think, it's just the team behind us and working with Sophia and just going strong into the end of the week. As you're counting down the final days, and it's been a long week so far, you're just fingers crossed that you can hang on to the end.
The stage results echoed the general classification results heading into the final day of the race. 91 Songo Specialized led Faces Roller by 16 minutes and 29 seconds. Ferrand-Prévot and de Groot were third, 38 minutes behind Gomez-Villafañe and Batten, but arguably the favourites for line honours on stage 7. The men's race in the 2022 Absa Cape Epic got off to a dramatic start at Lawrenceford on Sunday the 20th of March. Speed Company Racing, who were the 13th ranked team heading into the race, set the second fastest time. Scott SRAM, starting just before Toyota 91 Specialized, punctured within the first 6 kilometres and lost 4.5 minutes to the stage winners. Matt Beers and Chris Blevins powered perfectly through the prologue, winning the stage by 40 seconds and claiming the first yellow Chivita jerseys. Stage 1, the first marathon day, provided even more drama than the opening day. Nino Schurter punctured just before he and Lars Forster had planned to launch their attack on the saddle climb. The ascent proved pivotal regardless, as Canyon Northwave and Buff Megamo distanced Beers and Blevins. The South African champion had been unable to hold down food during the stage, leaving him flat when Andreas Seerwald and Martin Stosik and company attacked. Canyon Northwave kicked again in Lawrenceford, taking the stage win and the overall lead. The next day was the longest of the race, traversing the Holland Mountains to Elandskloof. After a large group established themselves at the front of the race, Scott SRAM attacked on the stage's final significant climb. Having fought to establish an advantage, Schurter punctured again, allowing Canyon Northwave, Toyota 91 Specialized and Buff Megamo to get back into contention for stage victory. But Schurter and Foster kicked to line honours in a sprint finish. Stage 3 saw the return to the fore of Speed Company Racing. The German combination, who arrived in Africa with a single support crew member, Lucas Baum's father, took the fight to the top general classification teams. Meanwhile, the previous 3 days of frenetic chasing had cost Foster dear, and the Scott SRAM team slipped entirely out of contention. Baum and Gail Geiger charged on, winning the stage and moving up into second on the overall standings. Canyon Northwave still led, while Toyota 91 Specialized moved up to third. The second Greyton stage and the midpoint of the race was defined by the establishment of a general classification pecking order. Seerwald and Stosik were starting to ride more defensively, protecting their advantage over Speed Company Racing and Toyota 91 Specialized. As it happened the day before, Egger and Baum escaped off the front, but Canyon Northwave as well as Beers and Blevins were more attentive. They closed the gap down before tactical nous by Seerwald and Beers created a situation where Blevins could outsprint the Speed Company Racing team and Stosik. Stage 5 was the second transition stage of the race. It took the teams from Elandskloof to Stellenbosch and featured long plains punctuated by 3 mountain passes. Speed Company Racing had managed to time trial off the front across the Theewaterskloof flatlands, but a wrong turn cost them nearly 4 minutes. After their mistake, there was no opportunity for Egger and Baum to escape again, but Canyon Northwave's focus on Speed Company Racing allowed Mbuko Type Dev to attack. Marco Hubert and Peter de Troy rode to their maiden Absa Cape Epic stage victories, becoming the first all-South African team to win a stage in the men's race since Philip Bass and Matthijs Beerkes in 2019. The penultimate stage was the final opportunity, on paper at least, to earn major time gains. As such, Speed Company Racing went on the offensive and cracked both Seerwald and Beers. Canyon Northwave recovered better than the Toyota 91 Specialized team, as Stosik ushered Seerwald through the stage more efficiently than Blevins was able to nurse Beers. Egger and Baum had Fabian Rabenstein and Bart Allemann acting as hares to chase. The Speed Company Racing duo were unable to reel in the Willia Perelli team. The Italian and Belgian champions won the stage, but the Germans gained 4 minutes and 17 seconds over the men in yellow.
So in the end, 2 minutes 45 is the gap to the leaders, and I would say it's one flat tire or one little mistake by Canyon, and we're in the leader's jersey. Maybe we got an attack in our back pocket too, and let's see if we can capitalize on a little mistake.
After 7 terrific days of Absa Cape Epic action, Seerwald and Stosik held a 2 minute and 45 second advantage over Speed Company Racing. The gap was the smallest going into the final day in the history of the race. Egger and Baum were certainly looking to exploit that fact and dethrone the Canyon Northwave team. Day 8, Stage 7, the grand finale of the 2022 Absa Cape Epic. Taking in 68 kilometres and 2,000 metres of climbing, the trails to Val de Vie were anything but all downhill. The day began with climbing through the Iders Valley community trails, Rustenburg Wines and into the Simonsburg Conservancy. Then Murati single tracks provided both metres of elevation gain and thrilling single track descents. The final climb of the race on Babylonsturm provided views across the Berg River Basin and to the finish line. 10 flat and flat-out kilometres brought the 18th Untamed African Mountain Bike Race to a close before the Val de Vie Polo Fields welcomes the teams home.
So we have the last stage today. We are heading Val de Vie today, so excitement is very high because also the gap is not that big for a second team. But we look forward, and the stage will be not that long, and I expect from the beginning especially some fast racing. But we had a good sleep, we feel ready, we are still in the leader jersey in almost 3 minutes, so on one hand it's quite comfortable, let's say, and I'm looking forward to today's race.
Yeah, 2 minutes 45. I think it's possible today. There are some short climbs and it's our stage, so we go full gas.
Full gas was the only speed that Speed Company Racing have ridden at all race. The German pair Georg Egger and Lukas Baum have gone all in every day, making or losing time in the general classification battle as their fortunes fluctuated. But their aggressive style won them many fans, including among their fellow riders in the peloton. Teams like William Pirelli, Scott Schramm and Santa Cruz were more than happy to aid them in their bid to reel in Canyon Northwave. The men in yellow, meanwhile, had Toyota 91 Specialized and Buff Megamo to help them in their pursuit, as they all had reasons to chase too. They realized within the first 10 kilometers that they would have their work cut out for them though. Egger and Baum were setting a frenetic pace, and the chasing group were losing time in handfuls every time the trails headed uphill. The momentum was all with Speed Company Racing, and Canyon Northwave would need luck to overturn it. The yellow jersey group's fortunes ailed on the Simmonsburg Conservancy trails, where Hunspecking punctured. That left the group without the Dutch champion's formidable firepower. With Andreas Seerwald and Matt Beers struggling, the Canyon Northwave Toyota 91 Specialized group were clearly slower than the Speed Company Racing Scott's Ram Santa Cruz group. The men chasing the stage win and the race lead were flying and shelled William Pirelli off the back. The Italian squad faded back to their support team in the increasingly stressed chase pack, where Daniel Gesmeyer and Cameron Orr had joined Beers, Seerwald, Martin Stosek and the William 7C Force team of Johnny Cataneo and Nicola Taparel. The group was becoming ragged too, and with cooperation breaking down, Canyon Northwave had to strike out alone. After the single tracks of Murati, the men in yellow had to forge on in a team time trial, abandoning their erstwhile helpers because they were too slow to be of any assistance. Up the road, Speed Company Racing were riding like men possessed. They were receiving no time splits from the course and had no idea if they were doing enough to rip yellow from Canyon, but they would certainly not die wondering. They did, however, suffer a blow to their chances when Nino Schurter punctured for the 10th time in the race. The Swiss star had been doing turns on the front as he and Lars Forster sought their second stage win of the race, but his rear wheel puncture relegated him from the lead group, ending his Absa Cape Epic campaign much as it had started with a poorly timed puncture. Scott Schramm were not the only ones who were unable to stay with Speed Company Racing. Santa Cruz's Maxime Marot's legs were failing him. This meant that Keegan Swenson had to drop back too. Soon Scott Schramm joined forces with Santa Cruz. They remained up the road from Stosek and Seerwald, who were being caught once more by Beers, Blevins and the William Pirelli 2 team of Gesmeyer and Orr. There was no catching Egger and Baum though. The Speed Company Racing men had conquered the final treacherous descent from the slopes of the Simmonsburg to the Berg River Valley. In close formation, showing the exemplary teamwork they had exhibited all week, they drove towards Val de Vie. The finish line was abuzz. Egger and Baum had ridden their way into the hearts of the Absa Cape Epic fans throughout the week, and they would be highly popular stage winners. Driving for the line, they maximised every second they could gain on Canyon Northwave. So focused were they on the overall that they hardly celebrated the day's victory. Their only thoughts were on the general classification. During the agonising wait, Schurter and Forster outsprinted Marot and Swenson to add a touch of a silver lining to their disappointing campaign. But all eyes were on the clock and Speed Company Racing. After 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the celebrations could officially begin. Egger and Baum were the 2022 Absa Cape Epic champions. Piers and Blevins rolled home fourth, just ahead of a dejected Seevold and Stosek, who became the first riders to lose the lead on the final stage. After congratulations all round, the Speed Company racing team were just about composed enough to reflect on their incredible untamed experience.
It's incredible. Almost 10 years ago, I became junior world champion, and I feel such a deep connection to South Africa. I even got a South African tree tatted on my back. That's how much I feel for South Africa, and to me it's incredible. I had a break from cycling. I came back with Georg. Georg motivated me to come back on the bike again, and I'm just racing with my best friend, and now we're winning the biggest race on the mountain bike. It's incredible.
Speed Company Racing stage win was completed in 2 hours 46 minutes and 34 seconds. Scott SRAM crossed the final finish line a minute and 44 seconds later, just ahead of Santa Cruz. Toyota 91 Specialized and Canyon Northwave conceded 5:43 and 5:48 respectively to the day's winners. This meant that Georg Geger and Lucas Baum were the winners of the 2022 Absa Cape Epic by 3 minutes and 2 seconds, turning around the 2 minute and 45 second deficit they started the day with. Andres Seevold and Martin Stosek had to be content with second, while Matt Beers and Chris Blevins finished third. The final stage of the women's race would be a less dramatic affair. It was still the all-important grand finale stage victory to race for, though thoughts were already turning to Val de Vie.
We have like 70 kilometers between us and Val de Vie. We're so thankful that we got to grab onto this jersey after stage one, after having not the best prologue. And yeah, we just had solid days and can't wait to just finish it off with another good one.
The CM.com women raced off the fields of Stellenbosch University to undertake their 68-kilometre traverse of the Cape Winelands. BMC MTB Racing and Faces Roller were aggressive from the off, searching for any signs of weakness in the pedal strokes of their rivals. Starting 16 and 38 minutes down on the general classification respectively, they were of little risk to the women in orange. Nonetheless, the 91 Songo Specialized team did not want their rivals to win a stage that they could claim. As a result, climbing through the foothills of the Simmonsberg Mountains, the overall leaders shadowed their rivals. It was only once the BMC MTB Racing and Private Client Holdings teams were distanced that Sophia Gomez-Villafan and Hayley Batten began to help Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss with the pacemaking. The Faces Roller team were clearly highly motivated to outdo the Argentine-American combination again, as they had done on stage 3. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot briefly fought their way back to the leading group, but were soon distanced again when the gradients ramped up and the Faces Roller team upped the tempo. The single track that followed allowed Batten to showcase her technical skills once again. But with her teammate wedged between Lill and Strauss, there was no advantage to be gained from the rapid descent. At the bottom, Batten sat up and the group ground their way up the ascent together, all the while extending their advantage over the teams in third and fourth on the trails. One side of contention for stage honours, Ferrand-Prévot and de Groot rode a more relaxed pace through the final stage, just focusing on remaining ahead of the Private Client Holdings team of Hayley Preen and Marie Raby. Ahead, Lill and Strauss were seizing every opportunity to attack, putting Batten and Gomez-Villafan on the back foot. The 91 Songo Specialized pair managed to fight back once, closing the gap to Faces Roller on a dual-track descent. Soon, though, Gomez-Villafan's struggles deepened. Only the helping hand of Batten kept her within touching distance of Lill and Strauss. Buoyed by their rivals' troubles, the South Africans attacked again, distancing 91 Songo Specialized for good. The Faces Roller team surged across the Berg River and onto the fields of Val de Vie. Rounding the final bend, Lill and Strauss could sit up and appreciate the applause. A second stage win in the red Absa African jerseys capped a successful week for the Faces Roller team. The 91 Songo Specialized team rolled onto the polo fields of Val de Vie a short while later to wrap up the 2022 Absa Cape Epic title. With 3 stage wins, there could be no doubt that Gomez-Villafan and Batten were the most consistent team in the CM.com women's race.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy to share something like this with somebody. I mean, you don't really know how your body and your relationship as a teammate is actually going to, withstand every single day. And so to really bring it home to the finish line with the team as well, that's, also worked so hard every night and day to get you to that moment. It's something that we all get to share, and it's really special. It's hard to describe, but taking on the bigger the challenge, the greater the reward, and I think we all felt that today.
Faces Roller's second stage victory of the race was concluded in 3 hours 23 minutes and 22 seconds. 91 Songo Specialized conceded 3 minutes and 57 seconds on the grand finale, but that did not threaten their overall victory, and BMC MTB Racing completed the day's podium places. Sofia Gomez-Villafaña and Hayley Batten's title was won with a 12-minute and 31-second buffer. Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss was second, winning the Absa African jerseys for the second year in a row. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robert de Groot may have finished third on the final general classification, but they did race to 3-stage victories during de Groot's final and Ferrand-Prévot's first Absa Cape Epic. In the non-elite categories, the NTT Masters race was won by Karl Platt and Christoph Sauser. The Songo 91 Epic legends had posted the second best time on the prologue, but once Mirko Perazzotti and Miguel Martinez lost the blue jerseys on stage 1, there would be no stopping Platt and Sauser. The rivals turned teammates spent much of the race reminiscing about their epic successes and failures. Both men are true legends of the event and have memories of plenty of every area the race visited in 2022. Given their extensive trail knowledge and eternal class as athletes, it was unsurprising that they extended their lead throughout the rest of the race once they rode their way into the NTT blue jerseys. The Grand Masters title was won for the third time by Bart Brenschens. He and Abra Azevedo have now won 5 category titles together across the NTT Masters and Grand Masters divisions. On their way to victory, the CST post-NL Bafang team raced to 6 stage wins, only missing out on a clean sweep by finishing in 3rd and 2nd on stages 4 and 6. Brenschens' 2022 Absa Cape Epic Grand Masters crown was his 8th category title, which includes 1 elite victory and 4 NTT Masters wins. The Absa mixed team started the mixed category race with victory on the prologue, but then lost their jerseys to Sueños Cafe CBZ Asfaltos, Jaina Mora and Natalia Navarro on stage 1. The Costa Ricans proceeded to fade through the field throughout the rest of the race as Manny Hammonds and Genevieve Weber rose to prominence. The Namibians may have only won 2 stages in the category, but they proved far more consistent than their rivals. The win was Heyman's first since the inaugural Absa Cape Epic in 2004, when he won the elite men's race alongside Karl Platt. Platt and Sauser's NTT Masters margin of victory was 48 minutes and 59 seconds over Francisco Javier and Jose Carlos Macias Bonao. The 2021 category champions Craig Uriah and Andrew Divenage completed the podium. Brenschens and Azevedo's buffer over Mark Schneider and Christian Valti was 1 hour and 57 minutes. Richard Lurie and Thorkild Nielsen were a further 21 minutes back in 3rd. Heymands and Weber held up the strong finishing Mundy and Wesley Augustine, who had ridden themselves from 5th to 2nd in the mixed category over the course of the 8 days. The Augustines were 45 minutes and 51 seconds behind the Absa mixed team, with Zachary Swart and Marlene Lawrence in 3rd. The Xara jersey race lived up to its legacy as one of the most dramatic competitions within the Absa Cape Epic. Tlalalisani Ndebele and Tlotlo Selala started the race with a stellar performance. The Xara Academy 1 team posted the 40th fastest overall time and led the Xara competition by 2 minutes going into stage 1. 91 Songo Specialized Zola Nkakeni and Atlanta Nonkasa then rode their way into the pale green jerseys, but Nonkasa had to withdraw halfway through stage 2. Thereafter, Ndebele and Salala won 5 more stages on their way to the overall victory. They now get the choice of Kuro and Stadio bursaries, with the remaining scholarships going to runners-up in Tlantlan Tembu and Davuyu Siasi of City Change a Life. The other prizes the Xara jersey winners will be awarded include 50,000 Rand and a trip to Belgium's Bakala Academy. Ndebele and Salala's winning margin for Xara Academy 1 was 1 hour 20 minutes and 1 second over City Change a Life's in Tembu and Siasi. The top 2 teams were joined on the final Xara jersey podium by William Majapolo and Kenneth Chukuru of Xara Academy 2. Thank you for watching the enthralling 2022 Absa Cape Epic. Join us again from the 19th to the 26th of March 2023 for the 19th Untamed African Mountain Bike Race.